We turn our attention to the nation's capital, where the federal government has rearraigned the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore, on a 2-count amended charge of alleged cyber-stalking against President Bola Tinubu. Now, at the resumed hearing of the case at the Federal High Court, counsel to the government, Akinlolu Kehinde, notified the Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court, Abuja, of a new amended charge which removes X and Facebook from the list of defendants, leaving Omoyele Sowore as the sole defendant. The government counsel expressed a readiness to start the trial with a witness available in court, but the defendant's counsel, Abubakar Marshall, opposed. Mr. Marshall stated that information of the prosecution witnesses and his oral statement on oath were not attached to the charge. Well, and we're staying in the nation's capital, where the DSS has rearranged the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore. We have our senior reporter, Celestina Ire, live for us in Abuja to give us an update on this case. Celestina, thank you for joining us at this time. Explain to us in layman terms the implication of dropping Meta and X as defendants in this charge.
Okay, well, Meta and X were the platforms Omoyele used to tweet or post the message he put on social media. So necessarily, Meta and X did not do anything wrong, because every citizen, every Nigerian, everybody either have a Twitter handle or X now, or an Instagram page or Facebook page. So it was the message he put out there on those platforms that constituted this alleged cyber stalking that is being brought against him now by the federal government. So I believe they may have gone through the whole process and found that Meta and X Corporation were not culpable or liable. So the message was written by Omoyele Sowore, and from what we gathered, that he was reached out to by several persons to take down the message, but he refused. And he, as an individual, also filed a fundamental right enforcement suit against the DSS, against Meta, and against S for what he called unconstitutional censorship of his social media page. And what was the message? He tweeted where he also highlighted the president's Twitter handle and called him some derogatory names, saying that he went to Brazil. This was in 2025, in August, and he went to Brazil to say that there was no more corruption in Nigeria, and he called the president a very derogatory name. So this was the case against him that had been brought before the Federal High Court now. So the federal government had looked through and found out that Meta and X didn't do anything wrong. Every Nigerian, every citizen owned a social media handle. First, it was 5 counts. It was now being concised into 2 counts. He was rearranged today. He took his plea, pleaded not guilty. In court, he actually challenged the charge. First, when it was read to him, he said that he didn't understand the charge because he wanted to know who is handling the page he highlighted, which is the president's page, official PBAT. He was asking the person, the handler of that page, and the judge told him that you don't ask questions. It's either you are guilty or not guilty. So if you're not guilty, just plead not guilty, then we'll move on from there. And that was done, but his lawyer also raised concerns as to the fact that the prosecution witnesses, the persons that the prosecution intends to call to testify against Omoyele Sowore, they were not provided with their information, because usually you will provide the defendants with the prosecution statement on oath and the witnesses' statement on oath so they can prepare their defense. So Marshal Abubakar, who's standing in for Omoyele Sowore, raised that before the courts, and the court said that the prosecution should afford them all the processes, and all processes should be regularized, and they are adjourned to January 22nd for trial to commence.
Talk to us about the implication of, Omoyele Sowore standing alone in this case, considering he used these platforms which have now been taken out as, defendant. What this will really mean for the trial?
Okay, we know years before now, Omoyele Sowore and the DSS, they've been at it because some time ago he was also charged by the federal government under former President Muhammadu Buhari. But when the present Minister of Justice came on board. They went through all the charges before the court and looked at the ones which they feel shouldn't go through. And we know as the AGF, he has the powers of non-prosecute, which is to withdraw every case before the court before judgment is delivered. So the cases before the Federal High Court against Omoyele Sowore were withdrawn. So now this is a fresh and new case. And we also know that this social media platform, they have community guidelines. And when an issue or when a right of a person is being infringed on these platforms, those social media platforms take action. I also believe that from what I gathered that Meta and also X were reached out to for them to take down the page, and I believe they also reached out to Omoyele to also pull down his publication, which we were told that he refused to do, hence this particular suit. But it just goes to show that there is freedom of expression, but freedom of expression is not absolute, and where one's right ends, another person's right continues. Irrespective of the fact that we all have social media at our disposal, doesn't mean we should use it to infringe on the rights of another person, be it the president or be it a farmer or whoever the person may be. So,
all right. A senior reporter, Celestina Area, live for us in Abuja. Thank you for that update.